Lovelies, and welcome to Crystals and Coffee. Thank you for joining me. It has been little longer than usual gap. I apologise for that, but sometimes things just get in the way, and I try. So I'm here right now, and I hope you forgive me. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for listening. My podcast went over 30,000 streams this week, which I'm really chuffed about. And just messages I receive by people who have stumbled across the podcast and tell me how it's affected them and how it's resonated with them and how they've become kind of long-term listeners it really makes me smile and it really makes me happy, and I'm so pleased that so many of you enjoy listening. And a special shout out to my latest patron over on Patreon, Sonia Lindsay, joined my Patreon last week. Thank you very much, Sonia. It's lovely to have you there. Hope you're enjoying the exclusive content. If you'd like to learn more about how to become a patron yourself, I'll pop a link in the description for this podcast, and you can take a look at what's on offer over there as well if you're a Crystals and Coffee fan. So this week we're going to be recapping pretty much an overview of a lot of the things that I've spoken about since New Year. So I did episodes about reflecting on the last 12 months, reflecting on your 2019, whether it's for good things or for bad things, and encouraging you to address things that aren't so great, that weren't so great about the year, and why, and how they made you feel, how you want to feel in 2020, what would need to happen to enable you to feel that way, to episodes on how to tune into your crystals, and again trying to override that kind of logical, I know what this crystal is about standpoint, to picking up crystals that you're feeling drawn to and how they make you feel and what the energy is saying. And we also did an episode about reading oracle cards for the new year to see what's happening at the present time, what could happen in the future, the potential if you're carrying on that path, and etc. So I thought it would be a good idea to bring all of that together, because if you've done each piece and you've done each piece in detail, then I'm hoping that you're feeling a bit better, in the sense that you've been able to bring things to the fore, address them, process them, figured out where it is that you want to be in 12 months time maybe, or even if you can't figure out where you want to be or what you want to be doing, at least it's about determining how you want to feel. So if you can think about how you want to feel, say by the end of 2020 or throughout 2020, and then work backwards. Like, okay, so this is how I want to feel. What needs to happen to enable me to feel that way? Figure that out, and then how do I get there? Break it down into teeny tiny steps if you have to. Sometimes thinking of the end goal just straight off the bat is a little daunting. And you kind of think, oh my god, I'm never going to get there, so why bother starting? Quite a common mindset, been there myself. And it's not until you start to break things down and realise that you can do what feel like quite tiny, maybe even insignificant things on a daily or weekly basis. But actually, when you start building them all up together and doing these pieces bit by bit, it may be slow progress, but it's progress. It's better than not doing anything at all. It's better than not taking any steps, because you are moving yourself forward, and that's the thing to remember. It's that the age-old saying of it's a marathon, not a sprint, is quite relevant, really. So it can be very helpful, especially if you've been using a journal or a notebook and you've been exploring these options, these reflections, that throughout different episodes I've spoken about, and you've actually written these things down. It can be really helpful to go back through and reread what you've written and reflected, and maybe since those few weeks have passed, things have happened and you've already made progress, or your feelings about things have changed because you've been able to change something that wasn't quite right or wasn't going your way. And start to build on from where you are now. So it can be very helpful for you now to, if you haven't written it all down in the same place, for example, to start that journaling process now and go through and collate everything and think, right, okay, this is what I've reflected on. This is how I want to. This is how I felt. This is how I want to feel. If you've used crystals, this is what the crystals have been telling me. If you've used cards, this is what the cards have been telling me. Maybe you want to just kind of do a mind splurge on how all of that makes you, what that's made you realize, the conclusion you've come to, and then going forward, how do you want to feel, how you're going to get there, and the steps that you can take. So I know that probably sounds like quite a lot to do all in one go, but like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and it's just about you doing bits in little chunks that fit in with you. I don't know if you journal on a regular basis. You may have a regular time of day where you journal. Maybe it's like at bedtime or something, and you just want to do a bit at a time. Each of the stages are completely up to you. This has to be your journey. It's not textbook. It's, you fill it in and you go through these stages as and how you feel you need to. You may not have listened to those other episodes. This could be the first one that you're tuning into and you don't have a clue what I'm talking about. But if you go back the last to the end of last year, when there is an episode on reflection, and if you go from there, then these exercises that I've been talking about for the last 5 minutes are set out in all these different episodes. And if you want some help in how to bring all this together, I have created a PDF of like a workbook template. So there's a different worksheet for each stage. So you have like your reflection with the prompts, your crystal energy with the prompts, your cards energy with the prompts, your how you want to feel, and kind of your little action steps. So I've put together a little workbook there that you can download and use that as your template for your own journaling, or you can print it out and write directly on it if you want to as well. So that will be in the description to kind of help you through this process if you choose to. Or of course you can do it in your own way, in your own journal or notebook, or whatever device that you use. I know I've got a digital planner that I use sometimes as well. So it fits in with what you want to do, because it's an important point, especially now. I think, especially where we are in the year, we've gotten January out the way, and January is, to me, I don't know if you feel the same, but it's kind of always like walking through mud. It's just, sometimes it is just the slowest, longest month to try and get through of the year. It's just like, it's such a come down after the holiday season. Where I am in the world, the weather is horrid. It's still pretty horrid. We're dealing with this, if you're in the UK, you'll be aware of it. You may or may not be. Storm Kiara, which is over the UK at the moment. The weather here has been horrendous. Thankfully, where I live, we haven't been completely flooded like a lot of towns have been, but it's pretty nasty. So kind of wishing for spring to come now. So we've gotten through January, we're into February, and very soon, what, about 4 weeks time, something like that, the clocks are going to go forward. We're going to have our lighter evenings back, the blossoms are going to come out on the tree, everything's going to start to bloom. And I feel that you pretty much every year it's spring, there's an energy shift. When the seasons change, energy changes. We're kind of coming out of this hibernation, hunkering down phase that winter brings, and we're going into this blossoming, blooming new life of spring, and it brings with it a fresh energy, and it brings with it that boost, motivation, creativity, and things like that. So if you can get all this reflection for last year, kind of facing how you felt, for good or for bad, why you felt that way. Maybe there are things you need to eliminate from your life. Maybe there are relationships that need to be reviewed. Maybe there are people who you just don't need in your life anymore, but keep propping up. Even if it's just on a digital platform, like people keep propping up on Facebook, and you just know that energy is not coming from a good place. I've unfollowed so many people on Facebook. I haven't unfriended them. Um, I think for me, unfollowing is good enough for the moment. That they're not coming up in my feed. I don't have to see their daily complaint about something that's going on, because and which they clearly aren't in any mood to change. They're just going to keep complaining about it, and it's that kind of energy that I don't want to see, because it affects mine. So there's things like that. So if you can do all of that work now, figure out where your energy is now and how you're feeling while we're in this kind of hibernation transition phase. Get all that straight and be in a position where, come in these few weeks' time, when spring starts to hit in kind of mid-March, that this is your time to start putting in your action steps, start going for what you want to be, and kind of start waking up. As nature starts waking up, you're starting to wake up, your energy's starting to wake up, and you flow with the seasons. I'm very big in some seasons, cycles of nature, which are topics that I am going to be talking more about the closer we get to the season change, and also when it does become spring, the spring equinox comes around, because it does have a great energetic effect, especially if you choose to tune into that. It can have a really positive effect for you too. So I would encourage you to, in the next few weeks, to do this reflection work. Maybe go back and listen to the episodes again, or have a look at the workbook through the link that I'll put in the description, or through your own journaling. Go ahead and do that reflection. Just clear out everything from last year and have your clear vision of what you want this year to bring you. It may not be anything specific. It's sometimes it is better to focus on how you want to feel and how you want your life to be and how you want to feel on a daily basis, than breaking it down backwards from that. What would need to happen in order you to feel this way? It's far more authentic, true to how you want to, the inner you, rather than maybe grabbing things that are logical out of the air, like things like, oh well, I should maybe get a promotion, or I should do this, or I should do that. That's the kind of thing you want to avoid. You need to look within. Right, I want to feel this way. What would make me feel that way? And it might not be all of the traditional things. It might be something really small. It might be something completely off the wall that you wouldn't have expected, but you know that this would bring you this feeling, and that's what you need to work towards. So I would say in the next few weeks to do some of this inner work, and get your crystals out, get your loving crystals out, get your clarity of mind crystal out, something like amethyst, maybe clarity for communication like angelite or blue lace agate, something loving like rose quartz, and maybe something protective to protect you from negative energy and keep you grounded like black tourmaline or hematite or smoky quartz, something like that to keep you on a level ground, and protect you from negative energy, because that's something that you don't want to hinder this process, is other people's negativity. So it's important to protect your energy field too. So that's all I'm really going to say for this week, because it was much more of a kind of a summing up episode of this situation, and encouraging you to do these steps, so that when we start talking about implementing these things, different methods you can use, different crystals you can use, holistic methods, like I said, cycles of nature, things like that, then you're going to be in a far clearer mindset if you're able to kind of just process stuff that you might be holding on to. So go ahead and do that. It might, if it's something that there are things that have happened that were quite life affecting, that you don't feel that you can comfortably face alone. If you have things like that, I would encourage you to maybe talk to somebody about it, whether that be a therapist or a close family member or a friend, to help you maybe work through this reflection together. Maybe they'd like to do it and you can help each other, kind of like a reflection buddy. And also then if you're setting goals together, you have somebody there to keep you accountable and keep you going and keep you motivated. I just never want you to feel like this is something you have to do as a solitary thing. I mean, there's a lot of inner work involved, but reach out for support if you need it. This isn't something that you should necessarily face alone if you don't feel confident enough that you can. If you have any questions at all, then please do contact me. I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me through my socials, which again, all the links are in the description. And take a look at the worksheet that I'll post down there as well. And as I mentioned my shout out earlier about my newest patron, then have a look at the Patreon link as well and see what other exclusive episodes and content you can get from Crystals and Coffee over on Patreon. So I hope you found this helpful, and it wasn't just me waffling on about things that I've already spoke about, and it's something that you want to revisit and try and work through for yourself. I would definitely encourage you to do it. There won't be a Crystals and Coffee next week. It's the school holidays here, so I'm going to be off with my kids. But the following week, so the last week in February, my birthday week, yay! I'll definitely be around that week as well, and we can kind of sum up before we head into spring. So have a great fortnight, and thank you very much for listening. And I will speak to you very soon. Take care. Bye.